Standing at the edge of the water, our ancient ancestor stared longingly at food he could see but couldn't reach. A body of water stood stubbornly between him and survival. Islands full of nesting birds and safe harbors sat tantalizingly out of arm's reach. Stepping into the current meant certain death for a creature that couldn't walk or swim far enough. A better camp and a safer home for the family lay just around the bend. Human legs, evolution's greatest walking machine, were completely useless against the deep water. He was a land animal, staring down an impossible biological boundary. Everything the tribe needed to thrive was right across the deadly liquid divide. No amount of breath-holding or swimming could ever bridge that vast expanse. It was the ultimate ancient riddle, waiting for a spark of human genius. And then, destiny arrived, in the form of a simple piece of dead wood drifting on the current. Someone made the mental leap that changed the future of our entire species. That thing floats, but I do not. Testing physical properties against reality became the quiet beginning of every maritime empire. What started as holding on to a piece of debris quickly sparked an audacious idea. Sitting astride the log turned nature's random wreckage into a personal ferry. Propelling himself forward with his hands, he conquered his very first water crossing. Soon, he realized he could load his most precious cargo right on top and push. Stepping onto the far shore proved that the water was no longer a wall, but a highway. This simple observation transformed drifting timber into humanity's first true vehicle. From this single floating log came every ship, navy, and container vessel sailing tonight. Long before modern humans walked the earth, pre-human seafarers were already making waves. On the Indonesian island of Flores, ancient stone tools tell a shocking story. These artifacts were crafted by Homo erectus, a species with a brain 2/3 the size of ours. Flores was never connected to the mainland, meaning they had to cross deep, open water. Across at least 12 kilometers of treacherous current, they made the impossible crossing. The deep channels of the Wallace Line failed to stop these ancient pioneers. Their successful migration established a breeding population on isolated shores. These small-bodied humans proved that boatbuilding predates modern humanity itself. Modern excavations continue to unearth jawbones and teeth dating back 700,000 years. Whatever primitive rafts they used, they worked well enough to change history forever. When modern humans set their sights on Australia, they faced an epic maritime challenge. This monumental journey required organized migration long before written history. Archaeological discoveries at Majidbebe pushed human arrival back by nearly 20,000 years. Australia was never connected to Asia by a land bridge, even in the Ice Ages. Voyagers had to conquer up to 90 kilometers of open ocean through island hopping. Every single crossing demanded careful planning, provisions, and collective grit. They carried enough people across the water to establish thriving, viable populations. With no metal, sails, or compasses, they successfully populated a brand new continent. They left behind thousands of artifacts, including the world's oldest edge-ground hatchets. This incredible feat remains a testament to the power of ancient organized migration. The greatest challenge in studying ancient boats is that wood naturally rots away. While stone hand axes survive for 1,000,000 years, wooden rafts vanish within a millennium. This creates a massive, frustrating hole in our archaeological record. We are left searching for ghosts where powerful watercraft once stood. Everything we know must be pieced together through indirect evidence. People simply didn't show up in isolated lands by accident or magic. The tropical soils and shifting sands destroy every plank and rope over time. Only faint echoes of their technology survive through scattered clues and art. The timeline of human expansion relies entirely on where our ancestors landed, not how. Not a single plank or rope remains from those breathtaking prehistoric voyages. Fortunately, exceptional conditions occasionally preserve a rare piece of ancient maritime history. During a 1955 road construction project in the Netherlands, workers pulled a curious log from the peat. It was nearly thrown away as useless debris until a watchful local farmer intervened. Hendrik Wanders recognized the object for what it truly was, an ancient boat. Advanced carbon dating placed its construction between 8040 and 7510 BCE. Someone shaped this vessel in the marshy wetlands after the ice melted. They meticulously hollowed out a single Scots pine log using flint and antler. In this flooded post-glacial world, a reliable boat meant the difference between life and death. Today, the Pesse Canoe rests safely in the Drents Museum as a priceless relic. It stands as the oldest physical proof that humans engineered advanced watercraft. Building a sturdy dugout canoe without metal tools required pure ingenuity. Craftspeople carefully packed clay and wet mud to control the spread of fire. Instead of steel axes, they used managed flames to fell massive hardwood trees. Once the giant trunk hit the forest floor, the real labor began. They deliberately set controlled fires along the top surface of the timber. Charred wood becomes soft, brittle, and easy to scrape away. Builders alternated between burning and scraping day after grueling day. Slowly but surely, a hollow interior emerged from the solid log. Step by step, the heavy wood transformed into a lightweight, watertight shell. This brilliant technique gave families a vessel to traverse lakes and rivers with ease. Across every inhabited continent, cultures independently solved the exact same engineering problem. Native communities in North America mastered the fire and scrape method independently. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, similar techniques unlocked river travel. African river communities built durable vessels suited for local waters. Asian cultures relied on dugout canoes to navigate dense wetland networks. Pacific Islanders adapted the technique for coastal fishing and island hopping. This remarkable parallel innovation is a prime example of convergent cultural evolution. Just as eyes evolved separately in nature, physics drove humans to the same design. With limited materials available, everyone discovered that floating wood required a hollow hull. Yet, the dugout carried one major flaw. Builders were forever constrained by the size of the tree. Ancient Egypt faced a massive design barrier because their native trees grew short and twisted. They lacked the tall, straight pines and oaks found in northern Europe. Desperate for larger vessels to navigate the Nile, shipwrights invented a brilliant workaround. Instead of carving a single log, they joined multiple components together. They fitted short planks edge to edge using intricate joints like a puzzle. Internal channels and lashings locked the pieces into a unified structure. This revolutionary leap allowed them to build ships far larger than any single tree. Precision woodworking created hulls capable of carrying heavy trade goods. The Nile Highway was suddenly conquered by master-crafted wooden architecture. Planks shattered the limitations of nature and opened up a new era of engineering. Deep beneath the desert sand at Giza lies one of archaeology's greatest marvels. In 1954, a sealed limestone pit revealed the legendary Khufu ship. It was found completely disassembled into 1,224 individual cedar components. It was essentially a flat-pack knockdown kit built 4,500 years ago. Workers used imported Lebanese cedar stitched together with vegetable fiber ropes. When wet, the ropes swelled to make the entire vessel completely watertight. They built the outer hull shell first before adding any internal framing. Spanning over 43 meters long, the vessel is an architectural masterpiece. It was designed to carry the pharaoh across celestial waters in the afterlife. This stunning artifact proves ancient carpenters possessed power tool precision without power tools. For generations, powering a watercraft depended entirely on human muscle. Every stroke of the oar taxed the physical limits of the crew. Then, ancient shipwrights introduced an invention that changed energy forever: the sail. Sails converted raw environmental wind into directed motion. The Nile provided a natural laboratory with opposing forces. Sailors could drift downstream effortlessly with the rushing current. When heading back south, they hoisted the sail to glide against the water. Two-way travel on a single river was finally unlocked. The boat evolved from a simple tool into an energy-harvesting machine. Wind power became a driving force behind ancient civilization and trade. While Egypt mastered rivers, Austronesian voyagers prepared to conquer the open Pacific. They built exceptionally narrow canoes designed to slice through waves at high speed. However, narrow hulls suffered from a dangerous tendency to capsize easily. The ingenious solution was attaching a lateral float called an outrigger. This design delivered the perfect balance of speed and open ocean stability. Some communities scaled up the concept into massive double-hulled catamarans. These resilient craft carried entire families, livestock, and crops across oceans. Lashed lug construction allowed the hulls to flex safely with massive ocean swells. It fueled the largest pre-industrial migration across a third of the Earth. Their descendants populated everything from Madagascar to the farthest reaches of Polynesia. Navigating the vast Pacific required a science more sophisticated than any map. Wayfinders memorized the rising and setting positions of hundreds of stars. They read complex ocean swells that deflected off distant land masses. Hidden islands revealed themselves through subtle shifts in wave patterns. Specific seabird flight paths guided travelers straight toward nesting grounds on land. Even cloud formations offered clues by reflecting distinct colors over land. This deep knowledge lived entirely within human memory, passed down orally. No modern navigational instruments were needed to cross the horizon. Generations of explorers trusted this living tradition to find paradise. Human memory alone conquered the largest ocean on the planet. By the 1970s, this ancient wayfinding tradition faced the threat of extinction. Master navigator Mau Piailug stepped forward to keep the ancient art alive. In 1976, the traditional canoe Hokulea set sail from Hawaii to Tahiti. The voyage covered 4,000 kilometers of open ocean without a single instrument. Mau guided the vessel using only the stars, swells, and birds. His unmatched expertise proved that ancestral navigation methods were entirely accurate. Through brutal storms and unpredictable squalls, the crew held their course. After 31 days at sea, Tahiti emerged right where he predicted. The triumphant arrival celebrated the survival of a brilliant indigenous science. The principles of Pacific wayfinding successfully bridged the ancient and modern worlds. Meanwhile, in the Mediterranean, Phoenician shipwrights pushed maritime engineering further. They perfected the locked mortise and tenon joint for extraordinary hull strength. Wooden dowels permanently locked every single plank into a solid shell. Most importantly, they invented a true structural keel running down the spine. The keel gave hulls lateral resistance so they wouldn't slide sideways. Ships could finally sail directly into the wind instead of just running before it. They built history's first true maritime trade network across the Mediterranean. Multi-banked warships soon transformed watercraft into tools of massive military power. Their vessels carried goods from port to port all the way to Britain. From floating logs to advanced keeled ships, humanity conquered the open water.